Well, hey everybody, it's the second day of November 2025. I'm Jan Erickson and this is As Above, So Below. Well, I hope you've had a good week. We've been having big gusts of wind during the day. Supposedly it got to 45 miles per hour yesterday, but I don't think it did. That was what it was forecasted to do. But this time I think we dodged a bullet, as they say. Let's take a look at the, we haven't had this one in a while. We have Isa. This is the Elder Futhark rune to get us started here, the higher self side or above side of things. Now, Isa is one of the three Norn runes, Hagalaz, Isa, and Nathis, and Isa is the 11th rune. So I tend to look at that also. Some people look at it as the rune of the present moment. I tend to look at it as the alignment in higher self. And invoking that energy into the physical reality. It can be about focus and contraction and consciousness, will development, the stillness within. It's a good rune to meditate with, where you align in that higher consciousness when you're meditating, and chanting Isa softly can help you do that. If you're feeling a little scattered or something, just chanting that softly and visualizing yourself aligning to that higher self, that higher consciousness, focus into physical reality or form, can be really nice. Birkenau's another one you can do that with. A very healing type of a sound, Birkenau. But Isa is as well. So far, let's just say we're invoking higher consciousness into something today. Let's see what the Geomancy runes say. There's earth. Where's fire? There's fire, water, and air. Oh, well, that's interesting. We have Vaya, so another straight line, if you will. Vaya and populous are each other's complements, whereas Vaya would be the active principle with single dots all the way around. Populous would be its complement with two dots all the way around. So an active influence versus a passive one. So populous would then be following it along with the crowd, whereas Isa is taking your own path and invoking that, pursuing it. Whereas, your own independent path, whereas populace, again, would be following along with the crowd. And we had populace, it's been a while, I think. Well, I didn't write the two of the readings down in October here, but I've been getting it on the forecast. I don't remember if it's, because I've already drawn the runes for next week's stuff, but I don't remember if it was in this coming week's forecast, which is up on the blog, by the way, over at Stepping Aside, and the web address there is imsteppingaside.com. Well, when you have visually the same, your alignment in higher consciousness then allows you then to initiate and take an active role in creating your own path that, again, is seen from the standpoint of higher awareness instead of from ego. So, but let's see what the cards have to say, because they could take us in a completely different direction from that. But we'll see. But it could be that a new path is there, and you're deciding to do that, and independent of maybe other types of experiences you've had, taking a different direction maybe, but one that's guided by higher consciousness, not one that is ego-based. So I've already done some shuffling here before I started. Just do one more here, and just sort of do a little bit extra, and then cut the deck, take the lower half, and take 3 cards. Well, given that, I'm going to do the numerology here, but given that Isa is an 11 numerology, that's the master number for awakening and enlightenment and illumination. So it's that, again, it's that understanding that Let's see, I'm getting something coming up on my screen here. I need to take it off. It's basically, given that it's a master number 11, I don't like to include that in, I think I did in last week's reading, maybe. I don't remember. No, that would have been a 5, so no, I wouldn't have done that. Although justice is the 11th card, so yeah, maybe I did. And there I had taken 4 cards. 1, 2, 3. No. 1, 2, 3. No, I took 3 cards. There we go. And I did include it in, and it ended up being a 5. I don't think I'm going to do that today, particularly because we're in the 11th month, so there's an 11 there. 2, given that it's the second day of the month, the higher vibrational number there is 11. A version of 2. 2 would be the lower vibrational number, the ego side, the physical reality side. So I think I'm going to keep, when I do the numerology, I'm going to keep Isa away from that, the 11 numerology there, away from it. So right now, I've got 1 card from the court, so I've got a 5 and an 8, which is 13, and that reduces to 4. I'm going to put 11, 4 up here in my little notepad. So I think that, I think I'm comfortable doing it that way. Otherwise, it'd be 11 and 4 is 15, which reduces to 6. But I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to leave it 11 and 4, and I'll talk about it that way when I do the reading notes. So if you're looking at, if you're looking at an 11 numerology for Isa, again, awakening and enlightenment to how you then structure your life. And again, taking a new path, you need to do that. You need to, that would be the 4. How would you ground and structure and create a new foundation with respect to this new path that might be opening, that you're initiating, either way. So let's go ahead and let's talk about the cards. I have the 5 of Cups, the Queen of Wands, and the 8 of Wands. So we have a run on Wands. And what that means, anytime you hear somebody say, well, there's a run on a particular suit, it means you have more than 1 card. Or if you have all court cards or 2 court cards in a 3-card reading, there'd be a run on court cards. If you had more than 1 major arcana card, you'd have a run on major arcana cards. So, but here, Wands is the fire element, and so again, very active principle, similar to taking the new path or direction. Although Vaya, I think is water for some reason. Maybe stuck in perceptions, possibly emotionally based. That could be also Via, but you're in that mode of single-mindedness, if you will. That could also be maybe if Via was ill-dignified, you could look at it that way. But I think generally speaking, for me, Via is path or journey or way, and it's an active principle. But I mean, you could do that. You could look at it as something that is being stuck in emotion-based perception. You just have too much fear to move out of that, and it takes that active decision to then do that. And typically, it comes from alignment and higher awareness. It's generally because the ego is going to be something that's going to be fear-based, and so try to keep you there in that one position so that you don't move out of it. Very similar in energy to carcer, which is self-imprisonment. But let's not do that. Let's go with the idea that there's a new, because that's my initial hit here, was that it's a new path or a new direction that you're taking, that you're pursuing, that you may have created for yourself. And again, from alignment in higher consciousness, and that focus, that the concentration of will to do that with Isa. But it may have gotten started with the 5 of Cups. Here we have an individual. It looks like a man from behind, but it's hard to tell, but it probably is. And here he's wearing a black cape. His head is bowed. You see 3 overturned cups, its contents spilled on the ground. You see 2 standing behind him. You see that line here of separation. Sometimes it's a dual one, and sometimes it's just a heavy black one. Separating himself likely from his home, maybe. You see the arched bridge here and the body of water there, the little creek or stream that is separating, represents a boundary, an emotional boundary, if you will, given that it's the water element, between him, the guy here, and his home. 5 indicates change and protection, innovation, variety, freedom versus restriction. But we'll say here that something has happened. Something has changed in his life. It's emotional. It's causing him some grief. He may not see the strength of the 2 cups that are still standing. He may not even be aware of them, is because his head is bowed in the direction of his home. So to me, something has happened on the home front that has caused some grief, emotional grief, and maybe some loss. Again, because see, the contents here are spilled, and so there's some loss implied there. But then we go to the Queen of Wands. Now, the Queen of Wands is successful. She's an older woman in authority. She's, again, the fire element. You see her cat here, her little familiar, if you will, the little elemental maybe, or just her cat looking at the reader saying, well, okay, what do you want? You see the lions on the sides of her throne here, and you see them on the back there. And you see her holding a sunflower, another fire element type of signifier. And then, of course, the staff itself. It could be just a club or a wand, a shorter one. But all too often in the suit of wands, you will see, other than the ace, you're going to see it represented as a staff. But you see life still growing from the piece of wood itself, even though it's no longer growing from the soil. But it's still there. So the fire element is it is an active principle. It's about creativity and new opportunities and the spark of life. So there's a lot of energy there with the fire element. And with the queen, maybe she's somebody that you go to for advice. She could be what you need but it could also be, if it's not the individual on the card, it could be the qualities thereof, that in order to cope with the loss here, you have to take a new path. And you have to initiate something that's going to open a door to something else for you. Whatever loss you've had here, you need something to gain on the other side of that equation to balance that energy out. And so you have to take the initiative with Vaya to align in higher consciousness with Isa and see the bigger picture, and maybe see this as just simply something that you needed to experience, and now you've done that, and now it's time to turn your attention to something else that's more active, not passive, not following somebody else, but initiating that new direction on your own. And you could say either someone like the queen is advising you, or you're embodying that energy, that drive, that talent, that success that this woman is capable of, and embodying those ideals and those just those ideas in of who she is, those qualities, if you will, to then move forward on a new path where here we have the Eight of Wands. Again, in the run on wands, we're continuing that energy, that motion, that movement into something new. And here you see 8 wands or 8 staffs coming into the scene very, very quickly. It's like they're all being thrown. So with this new path that could be unfolding for you, that you could be taking, that you could be creating, perhaps you've created a lot of new opportunities, or there are a lot of new opportunities, new ideas, new inspiration, initiation, if you will, on this new path that gives you lots of options for the future. So like if you say lost your job or you lost your home or something because of financial circumstances, it's a very emotional thing, right? But you have to gather your wits about you and either get some advice from somebody that's a trusted woman in your life, an older woman perhaps, a parent or a relative or a friend or maybe someone else you know that's older with a lot of experience that can guide you, or you summon up that same courage within to do that for yourself. And when you do, you have 8 here, which is leadership. It's also material recognition and approval, and taming the wild within, so to speak, to gather your wits about you and move forward. Inner strength, having the inner strength or external strength to do that. Learning from whatever changes happened here. And then applying what you learned to the future. But it seems to me that the path that you take, this implies that there's going to be a lot of opportunities for you to reestablish maybe your material security and emotional security that changed here with the 5 of Cups. And so I think realistically for this week, if circumstances are like that for you, the idea is to not give up, to assess what happened and figure out a way forward, and to do that not from the standpoint of ego or not from the standpoint of fear, but from the standpoint of higher awareness, to see the bigger picture, to understand that your life is not simply about this, that there's more to it than that. Maybe this was just one thing you needed to experience, your soul chose to experience, for example. And now you've done that, so you don't need to stay stuck there. You need to actually invoke that energy, that fire energy within, to either talk to somebody else, reestablishing your foundation with the 4 lower vibrational numerology here. But if you double that to 8, you see you have like changing the 2 to an 11. Because 11 reduces to 2. But if you had 2 and 2 equals 4, all right, then you would have that same 2. And if you did that same thing with the 2 and made it the higher vibratory 11, you can see where the 11 numerology, the master numerology, or the Isa of it all, the Isa energy of it all, invoking higher awareness into your consciousness, into the choices that you make, really is reinforced throughout the reading. And given this is the 11th month and the second day of the year, or of the month, I'm sorry, then you have the same sort of transitional type of numerology for all of it. So I mean, that's kind of interesting to look at it that way. But if you don't want to go there, I go there. I don't know why, but I do. I like to see patterns, and I like to just see, okay, well, how far does this go? So, but if you don't, just basically, you've had something that you've experienced an emotional loss of some kind that may have to also to do with your material security. And you need to invoke the fire element within and the creativity and the spark of inspiration there to move forward on a new path that will very likely provide you with a lot of different options to choose from. Or if it's not options to choose from, then it may in fact be that you're looking at a successful outcome here. Where there's a lot of different things that can happen. Maybe if it's a customer-based new opportunity, you're starting a business or something, you could have a lot of maybe if you are somebody that provides a service, or if you're say you're somebody who's a skilled craftsman and you are going to open your own shop. These could be orders that are coming in. So the implication, though, is that you have the strength to deal with it. You have the leadership skills to deal with it. And you cannot get caught up in the drama that's happening here, the emotional drama and the emotional loss. 5, again, is about change. It's not just about protection. It's about innovation and variety, and it's about freedom versus restriction. So you don't want to stay in the restriction aspect of this. You want to move forward. And Isa and Vaya are both suggesting that you're going to do that, that you invoke the higher consciousness in this present moment of what it is you're feeling and what it is you're experiencing, to then stimulate that creativity and inspiration and drive and motivation to move forward into something else. And so I think even though we start out with something that's questionable and could indicate, something emotionally difficult, it doesn't look like in the outcome taking that new path that you're going to be staying in that same mindset or heart set, if you will. And the 11 numerology for Isa again is reinforcing that idea. The 11th month, with November being the 11th month, it's a month of higher consciousness. And it's a month of awakening and enlightenment and illumination in and of itself. And so with that vibration and being the second day, then you want to change that to an 11, if you will, and look at that and see that reinforcement of all of it. And then you have, again, with the 4, if you look at that side of the numerology for the reading, it is a restructuring. It is a creation of new foundation in your life, and a new path can do that. So anyhow, I don't think we need another card. I think we did it. Anyway, thanks for watching. And again, the forecast is out on the blog over at Stepping Aside. So is the correspondences for Work and Magic. The weekly As Above, So Below reading, that post I'm doing now, where I've got all 5 days, Monday through Friday on it, that will go out tomorrow morning in the 3 a.m. hour, my time here on the Pacific coast. I think we're in, what are we in, Pacific Standard Time now here. And the chickens, they don't know that. And so it's like, well, okay, so we slept an extra hour. And realistically, they're like, okay, now it's you're late, and my husband's the bad guy now. So anyway, but they're fine. They've all got food out there anyway, but he likes to go out and feed them again and give them fresh water and make sure everybody's okay and all of that. So but we're still giving them stuff. We gave them a pumpkin the other day, so they can start working on those. We save the pumpkins for them, and just every so often he'll go and cut one and give it to them through the winter, and they love that. So they have lots of stuff out there. They've got borage and everything else, so to play with and toss around and eat what they want from it, and so they're not starving if my husband's an hour late because he slept in. Oh, it's like, oh, I don't have to get up yet. I still got another hour. It's like, no, they don't see it that way. But anyway, again, thanks for watching, and see how this week goes for you. And come back again on next Sunday for another edition of As Above, So Below. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.